Thank you. Welcome today to Connect with RevUp, How to Be a Leader and Not a Boss. We're expecting quite a few people. I think 46 people signed up, and so we probably should get around 20. And this is recorded, and you will get a copy of the recording. It is a workshop. It's 90 minutes long, and it is interactive. So do expect to participate, because the more you participate, the more you will get out of this. So what we want to do is we want to start off by gauging a pulse of where everybody is at. So if you go to www.menti.com and use the code that's there, just put into the box, I think you have up to 3 different things that you can write. What qualities do you most admire in a leader? What qualities do you most admire in a leader?
So guys, you can submit 3 answers per submission, but feel free to just refresh it if you have more than 3 ideas.
You can see it's changing minute by minute. So people are saying, I admire people who are visionary, who have empathy, open-mindedness, support, passion, approachability, kindness. I love how it refreshes. Having a good work ethic, being open-minded, approachable, loyalty, action, inspiring, empathetic, professional, honest, passionate. Really lots of good words, right? Lots of good words.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think we've got a sense of what you feel you admire in a leader. And maybe some of those are you as a leader, and maybe some of those are people that you have experienced. So the flip side of the coin, of course, is what qualities do you least admire in a leader? So you got the program now, so go ahead and enter your thoughts on what you least admire in a leader.
Mm-hmm. So again, same code. You just probably have to refresh to get to the second slide. Aha! Yay, it works.
Now that's always the thing, tech.
I
Tech.
know. What's Zoom without tech issues?
This is a great turnout. 23 people are participating currently, and we were expecting 48. So this is very good.
Oh yeah, I,
All
I
right.
love how they emphasized arrogance right there in the middle.
Yeah, I wonder if that's a
Oh wow.
message. Like, why did they choose arrogance, like Mentimeter, choose arrogance as a thing? But yeah, how many bosses do you know that you identified as, bad bosses, and they had this arrogance about them, right? This very I'm superior to you mentality. So some of these things are antithesis, opposites of what we heard in the most admire. We've got, dishonesty, and we've got micromanaging, and
Hmm.
we've got a bad listener, uh, impatient, bossing around, micromanager, dishonest several times, closed-mindedness. Micromanaging seems to be a big thing. Oh, see, it's replaced it. Micromanaging, arrogant, are sharing the spotlight.
I
Unclear direction. So right.
and I
So
see liar in
frustrating.
there, eh? I see liar.
Liar. Like these, like I guess I've stirred you guys up. You had these nice things to say about those we admire, and now now the fist cuffs are coming out, right? Least admire. So many things that we have, and the fact that you're saying these means that you have experienced this, right? People are putting in the chat line, and I know that Jenny will monitor and share that. But these are things that I wish these could stop. I really wish these could stop. And the fact that you're joining me here today, you're saying, I want to be somebody that people will say, I really admired, that person and those qualities. So this really gives us a good sense of where we're at. So let's get going with the program. how to be a leader and not a boss. And so, what I want to cover today is what is a leader and what's the difference between a boss and a leader. And I know that in some of the questions people asked ahead of time, and appreciate you providing that for me, you really said, can I be a boss? Um, and a leader? Can I be a boss sometimes? When do I be a boss and when do I be a leader? So hopefully during the time we'll talk about that. I'm going to give you 5 key skills that I think you need to have to be that leader. We're going to dive into mastering difficult conversations because that seems to be where people feel a lack of confidence. So I want to give you some strategies on how to be more effective and more confident. And lastly, I really want to help you understand how you can stand out as a leader. And the Connect with RevUp approach will help you do that. So let's get on and kind of dive into that. But let me tell you a little bit about myself. Some of you already know me as we kind of had that chat earlier, and then some of you don't. But let me just tell you, I am the founder and president of People Bright Consulting. We are a full service HR firm, and we provide management training as one of our offerings. And I am the creator of the Connect with RevUp, and it's focusing right now. We're offering leadership people management skills training because we feel that that is key important thing. If you've got leaders who are motivating staff, this really can help the company and him and the people in it. I am an award-winning culture expert. My husband and I had an engineering firm that we co-founded, and we wanted it to be different and special. So I have over 25 years experience both as an HR professional and as a serial entrepreneur. And when we had our engineering company, we grew it to 125 people in 7 offices across Canada. And the way we developed our company and created it, we became one of the top 10 of the best workplaces in Canada.
Mm.
I really love to help people. And the last thing I want to share with you is that I've started my own podcast called Rev Up Your Potential. And Min Woo, who is the production manager of that, we are doing this where we provide a weekly podcast sharing stories about the entrepreneur next door, the successes and the struggles. And if you really love learning through stories, you'll really enjoy our Rev Up podcasts. So let me just set the stage for you. I know we know we're all in COVID, but there are things that are happening, and I want to share some of the statistics. In Corporate Prediction 2021 report by Chris and Kim, they've identified there is a need to re-energize the workforce. And this is based on polling and surveys from CEOs and leaders. They surveyed 60 CEOs and leaders. The Hay report has said that the hybrid remote work office combination is going to be the one that keeps people most productive. And that combination is actually 60% remote, 40% office, or 80-20. And this gives you the best productivity. So that's something to keep in mind. And then Forbes, an article in Forbes by Shep Hyken said, the word for 2021 will be empathy. These 3 things I've just pulled out because as a leader, that's what you're going to be called upon to do. Create an energized workforce. Look at the remote work situation and what will work for you and how to maximize that productivity. And the third thing is empathy. So, how are you going to lead now and in 2021? And this is what I really want to focus on today, how you can lead. So, let's talk about what is the difference between being a boss and being a leader. So, here's a time that I want to get a sense where you're at. So, let's do poll number 1 about leadership. So, Jenny's pulling up the polling now. And if you can just, this is a multiple choice, so read each statement and pick all that apply.
And again, this is a guess and check, so I feel like Hilda, you're seeing the results.
Yes, I am today.
Awesome.
Sometimes Jenny
We
sees
never
it,
get it.
sometimes I see it, but we're pretty easygoing about that. We'll just figure it out. I actually print them off now so I know what they are.
Awesome.
So we're getting people signing up now into it. The front runner right now, it just changed. I strive to be a leader that motivates and uplifts my team, 69% currently, tied with, oh, it keeps changing. But, and I feel that sharing feedback regularly is important to developing a great employee. Some people are sharing, I have a need for control and close supervision to enjoy to the job gets done. And and when I get upset, I think before I share what I'm going to say. And so 53% of you are doing that. So good. Take a big breath before you say something you might regret. Okay, I 73% have voted. Let's give us another 15 seconds and then we'll close the poll, Jenny.
Oh, and if anyone has any other comments that is not on this list, feel free to share on the chat as well.
Yeah. So I've got the ending the polling, so I'm going to do that. And I'm going to share these results. Failed to share poll results. There's an error. Can people see the results or no? Because it says there was an error.
Yes, we can see it, Hilda.
Yes, we
Okay,
do.
okay, good, because there was an error pop-up message. So
Thank you, good.
71%, about 73% of the people responded. By the way, it is anonymous, and we don't even get the results shared later on. So 71% said, I feel that sharing feedback regularly is important to developing a great employee. And that is so, so true. I strive to be a leader that motivates and uplifts my team. And so that again is so true. So I know that a lot of you are here because you want to be better and you're already pretty good because you're interested and you want to improve. 53% said that when I get upset I think before I share, and that's really good. So the other 47% might think about this is a good thing to do. A couple of people said, 35% said, I have difficulty knowing when to be a boss and when to be a leader. And we can talk about that a little bit later as well. 12%, I feel a need to control and closely supervise. And that would not be the ideal situation. You might want to improve uh, that need for control in some way. And I'm going to stop sharing those results now. So, and do that. Okay, so thank you for sharing that. I think that again gives us a sense of some of the things that you should be doing, you shouldn't be doing, and what other people are doing. So you know you're not alone in that. So, what I want to talk about next is really getting into what is the difference between a boss and a manager. So, the long and short of it is a manager deals with the day to day operations. They are planning the details, making sure the work gets done. They're focusing on the work. They're maintaining the status quo and giving directions. That's the focus from a manager side or what you might call a boss side. The leader is expected to look at the long term strategy of the organization, thinking visionary and what we need to do to get there. They are the people that are supposed to inspire and motivate people. They focus on people and raising those expectations and setting directions. So you need both to have success of the company because if you have a leader but no managing happening, your clients are going to be unhappy, your staff are going to be happy. And if you have a manager but no leading, people are directionless and it really will have an impact on the company. So you need a balance of both. And so I'll quickly address the idea of boss versus leader. You know, I know we sort of said stop being a boss and be a leader. What we really mean is just don't be a boss all the time. You need to successfully lead, and you should be leading more than you're managing. Because if you're being a boss all the time, you can't focus on how to build your business, how to inspire your employees. So, know when to be a boss. And that was a question some people asked. You need to be a boss when it is day to day focus on the business, but you can still be a boss and a leader at the same time. And that's what I'm hoping this will help you do, is how can I manage day-to-day stuff and still be a leader? And how do I step up to the plate to be a leader so I can drive my company to success because I have the vision to make it happen, not just today, but to plan for 3, 5 years down the line as well. So lead for tomorrow by reimagining your leadership, reimagining your business, and then reimagining your leadership. So I was going to share with you 5 key skills you need to stop being that boss and start being that leader, or continue but be a better leader. So number 1 is effective communication, a big, big key to everything. And sometimes when you're communicating, you do have difficult conversations you have to have. So I want to share with you how to master those difficult conversations. The third thing I want to share is how do you stand out as a leader? And I want to tell you about the Connect with REVUP program, because it does make sense. It really escalates your ability to lead because you have a framework. The next 2 things is know who you are, know your style, and then own it in a way that's positive and inspiring. And the last thing is about working remotely, because remember I told you the statistics about remote working. Some people are in the retail business, but even that, they still have people that will work remotely. So that's going to be a key to understanding. It's a 90-minute workshop. I cannot teach you everything you need to know today. So I've decided that I'm going to focus on the first 3 and kind of share the other 2 in sort of in a more less intense way than we're going to do now. So let's dive into effective communications. So the basic essence of communications is really you have a message and you have a messenger. And in that, you have to make sure that the person who's getting the message is understanding it. And so it's a two-way dialogue. It's a feedback that keeps going back and forth, consolidating and making sure you hear and understand the message. The second point I want to bring is something that's called the 7-38-55 rule. And it was created by a Dr. Morabian. And in it, he says that the elements of personal communication is that 7% is the spoken word, 38% is the voice and the tone, and body language is 55%. It's a significant impact, and all those things together really help. When you have an email, you have spoken word and sometimes tone, but there's no body language. So I want to share with you, and this is where we're going to do an exercise. So you need to bring out your pen and your paper, or if you're going to use your iPhone. But we're going to create gingerbread men or people. And what we want to do is we want to break you out into groups. So there are 25 participants right now. Jenny and Diane and I are probably not going to participate. She's organizing it. Are we breaking them up into groups of 3, right, Jenny?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So she's organizing that now. So listen to what I'm saying, because she'll put it into the chat box so you can see the instructions. But the purpose of this is really you identify one person. One person will be the person that makes the gingerbread man. And the other 2 people, or 3, depending on how we break out the rooms, the other people are reproducing what they hear. Okay, reproducing what they hear. So here are the ground rules. You cannot show people what you're doing. You can't say, like, draw this way. You can only speak. So there's no writing, no hand gestures, make it this big. You can't do that. It's just the word and your tone. You can use 3 objects: circles, squares, or rectangles. And then 2 other things that we're going to let you do is you can have lines. You can make them curved or straight or squiggly, and any width you want. And then you're allowed 1 optional free object. I don't want to focus to make you think that you have to have these certain objects, but an example might be draw a bow tie or draw a scarf, right? So that's a free object, whatever you want. We're going to give you 4 minutes to create the design and replicate it. Those are their designing, and 4 minutes to then share the results. And that's where you will, show it and say, here's my result, to see if everybody got the same gingerbread. Any open up to chat. Anybody have any questions on this so far? Okay, so Jenny's going to organize you into breakout rooms. I'm maybe popping in and out just to see how things are going. So enjoy this exercise of making a gingerbread person.
I see.
Lori's direction to me looked really good.
Show it. What's it like?
Okay, let's get the video up here. Can you see that?
I lost you, Heather.
I know. Here we go.
Oh, and is this the same as Lori's?
Yeah.
And this is the one that Heather gave me. It was good too.
I heard the word semicircle and I thought, oh, that's inventive. I'm sure the person will be able to figure that out. How did other people do? I was in one group. They said it was similar. It was similar, and I looked at it. It was pretty good. Did anybody?
Hi.
Hi, Charles.
Hi, Hilda. I would say I was the one leading in terms of giving the instructions, and I'll admit that I don't believe that I followed the instructions that you guys gave entirely, because I certainly wasn't given instructions to use circles, rectangles. I just described, I guess, the end vision of what the gingerbread would look like.
Oh, you're a leader. You're strategic, right?
The big picture first.
Possibly. Well, yes, that's, I guess you could say that. But Emily was in the group, and she was very helpful in terms of kind of bringing me back in and saying, okay, well, using more of the circles and the rectangles and squares. So I think I kind of took it off track a bit.
Not too bad.
A couple of other comments, and then I would just want to kind of give an overall summary of what I'm hearing and what I hope you got out of this exercise.
Well, in our group, Hilda, we did a decorate. We did the gingerbread person as kind of the basis, and then we did decoration as being kind of the focus of the drawing.
And how did people do in your group?
Well, I think we did okay. I have Brian and Malik with me, so either of you can chime in. Is that we said that because the three of us were pretty well coming from a similar perspective about what a gingerbread person looked like and how it might be decorated, it probably went fairly smoothly because of that.
Okay. And one final comment, and I'm going to kind of summarize and wrap up here.
Do you mind if I say something quick?
You're the one other comment for sure.
In our group, it was interesting. Well, first of us, none of us wanted to lead, so that was pretty funny, but that's okay. And then we realized in chatting through that the same thing, that it was important to understand the communication first, like what is the task here and what's the strategy. And so there were a couple things that I don't think we had kept on track. We got to the end result, but I think we didn't follow the directions exactly either. So that is really important, right? That from a leader perspective, we chatted about it. If you are the leader giving direction, make sure, and you asked us, is everybody clear on it? But none of us said anything. And so we weren't really that clear. So the check-in on both sides to make sure that people understand what they're working toward, so that communication, and then throughout. So it's a great way to, think about communication from those two different perspectives. So thank you for that exercise. It's good.
And just to add to what you're saying, what I found to be lacking is I didn't have a copy of what the direction at the time that I was giving instruction. having that information available all the time, front and center, certainly helps in providing direction and instruction.
I was watching
Sure.
Amazing Race, and how many times they said, just read the instructions. They did, they would spend hours and they figured out, oh my God, I forgot to do it this way. And they remind themselves, we need to read the instructions. And yet in the heat of the moment, they forget. So I share this exercise with you because everybody thinks they communicate well, and it's always the other person's problem that they didn't get it. And what the exercise shows you is that it's a two-way dialogue, right? Your perception and expectations are different than the others, and you could end up with two different drawings because you don't get it right. The talking about some people start with giving a big picture. Diane mentioned that because we have similar backgrounds, we kind of knew what we were going to do. So again, what background does that person come from? Are they the newest person in the company and they don't know the policy or the practice on what you need to do? So you need to understand how you communicate with each other and probably a little bit about that person's perspective so that maybe you need to give different kinds of information. Clarity was another thing that we talked about, and reading the instructions and improvements. Obviously you need to have something in front of you so you can refer back to. So the goal of this was really to help you understand communications is a two-way street. You as a leader are often needing to give that clear direction, and collectively as individuals there should be a give and take. And when persons are hearing things that don't quite match up, have that dialogue and make it happen. So thank you for doing that exercise. That segues into communication that's not always easy. And right from the beginning, it's going to be difficult. And why is it so hard? So poll number 2 is to talk about, with respect to difficult conversations, and pick all that apply. So Jenny's going to pop up the polls for us.
It should be already there.
It's not showing.
Okay, Diane's nodding her head. So, oh, guess what, Hilda? I'm seeing the results now.
Yay. Well, I went into polls and I see, okay, this is inactive. So I'm thinking, okay,
Yeah.
well, we don't have a tech problem right now because Jenny has.
My turn. So yeah, people are trickling in. So far, it's I lose sleep on what I will say or not say. And second in line, I am afraid how the other person will react.
Yeah,
those
typical.
those are the big two ones. So very typical indeed. Third coming in line is I tend to avoid the conversation and pull it off.
Put it off.
Put it up. Put it up.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, difficult conversations. Hard to say, hard to start, hard to end, hard to everything. But sometimes you just got to do it, right, Hilda?
Yeah, we've done this poll about 3 or 4 different times when we've done topics about difficult conversations, and it's surprising the number of people that really are saying. Well, it's not surprising, but it's heartening to hear the number of people that are having difficulty sleeping at night or avoiding the problem. And then for people who see the poll results and say, you mean I'm not the only person that thinks this way? So no shame, no guilt. Everybody feels this way sometime or other, and some people get better at it. I find I don't lose a lot of sleep now because I've not been a procrastinator, and I've just done it. So through practice now, I'm pretty comfortable and confident with difficult conversations. So I don't procrastinate too much and I don't lose sleep too much. The
And I
odd
mean,
time.
even for myself, like I'm not a boss or entrepreneur, but it's just having that difficult conversation with like a coworker or like even my boss, Hilda, right? Like I have a lot more confidence in talking to Hilda, kind of raising concerns when we have it and actually being more proactive and like constructive about this, right? So it's not just always boss to employee, but sometimes employee to boss as well. So I'm going to stop this poll because I think, oh, actually, yeah, 95% have voted.
Yes, good.
Yep. So sharing results. Yep, indeed. The majority have said that they lose sleep on what they will say or not say. Second in line, I am afraid how the person will react. And third, tend to avoid the conversation and put it off.
Anybody really confident? Number one, am I confident in having conversations?
Yeah, 26%.
Ooh, well, good for
Mm.
you
Good
guys.
for them,
Good for you
yeah.
guys. I'm sure people would love your tips and strategies too. Okay, let's talk about difficult conversations a bit more. So, yeah, flip through these quickly, Jenny. So, the the number of conversations that you have often center around, somebody comes to you with a health issue and they're really upset and troubled, or family. The difficult conversations around COVID, particularly resulting in layoffs, terminations, work performance, with remote work particularly, and returning to work. People don't get along. People just don't get along, and they need some intervention. And sometimes it's you don't get along with that individual. Performance issues, and then harassment and bullying, and salary increases. Sometimes people come to you and they say, I want a salary increase, and they really don't know how to say it. And when they finally do, you don't even know how to respond. So, some samples of difficult conversations. I want to give you some facts. We gave you this poll. You see that there is a lot of people who do have difficulty with sleep and procrastination. This is a study done in 2016 out of Utah, and they identified that 72% of people fail to speak up when a peer doesn't pull their weight. That's a lot of 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 delay that will happen, and it costs you because that person's not pulling their weight, and that's affecting the bottom line. 40% of people estimated in the study spend 2 weeks or more thinking about the problem, i.e., procrastinating. And then a dollar figure. It's estimated in the study, and this is over 1,000 people, $7,500 per conversation in lost time, in lost resources due to avoiding. $7,500. That's like impressive that happens. And imagine if you have 2 or 3 conversations like that a month, what you could save if you could, you know, deal with costly conversations, let alone the impact on the morale, the employee engagement, that work culture, the tension that's gone on, and timelines and budgets. All of this is impacting on your ability. So, I want to do a little bit of a dive into case studies. So, we're going to use one case study because of the time that we have. And this one's going to be a remote work concern. You've got a person who's absent or late for the client calls 2 or 3 times in the past week. The client meeting summaries that they're responsible for doing within 2 days are submitted late. And then there was a spreadsheet that they were supposed to do for an upcoming client deliverable. And it was supposed to happen on the Monday, but it didn't. And there's been no communication or explanation. So, after you've procrastinated and lost some sleep, what are you going to do? So the first thing is to listen. Like, how many people are thinking that this person was actually, this is a bad situation. I got to deal with this problem right away. This person's lazy, they're not motivated, they're costing the bottom line. You can have your assumptions or your thoughts, but really you need to talk. And my tip for you is when you talk, you state the things that I've shared in a neutral, factual way. So you might say, Sally, I just want to talk to you about some concerns this week. I noticed that you've been absent or late for calls, and you just repeat that in that factual way. Do you want to talk about it? If you've had a relationship with that person, you might say, this is not like you, Sally. So what's happening? Want to talk about it? And if you don't know them well enough, just say, so this is what I'm seeing. Let's talk about it. Can you just share that with me? And okay, so you have that conversation. And what happens is when listening to this person, you recognize that they're working remotely, that they're single, and they live in an apartment that has no balcony, and they're sharing with you, this is just, I go to work, but I don't want to go down the elevator because I'm too scared. And now you realize that this is the problem, that they're probably having mental stress and they feel a sense of isolation. That's a different set of responses than if you recognize that they've been, you know, not productive, lazy, poor quality work, right? So I'm going to open it up for 5 minutes to see what people are thinking and how they might handle this situation, as well as some strategies you might have for that. Now that we've listened and we heard the problem, how do we come up with a solution? So unmute everybody, Jenny, and people just come and talk. We're going to spend 5 minutes on this.
I guess I would start by thinking maybe of pairing her or the employee with someone, maybe like an accountability buddy or something, so that it's a point of contact, and B, that person can also assist in some way, just to make sure that things are happening well. I mean, it depends on really how bad, once you've listened, how bad you feel the situation is. Does the person need to take time off? Does the person need just, you know, some coaching, assistance, and mentoring? And do they need, and if they are thinking that they want some time off, then what kind of supports do they have in the workplace to assist with someone who's having, let's say, anxiety?
Cool. Any other comments?
Hi, Hilda. I agree with Malik, if I pronounce your name correctly there, that it really depends on what is available, because not every work environment will have the same kind of resources, right? In the sense of, if you can provide someone, if you know, with, if you want to say, a mentor or counseling, right? Sometimes, yes, if you say, okay, take the time off, but the time off to do what? It could be to let the issues that they are experiencing fester, or maybe they go seek professional help. At the same time, a lot of businesses, unfortunately, aren't equipped to I guess, offer that kind of guidance, so to speak, because a lot of times it tends to be, okay, well, what is the bottom line, as you pointed out, right? And how do we go about doing that? And if your problems are directly related to that, then we can't help you. It's hands off, because a lot of times it's, okay, well, you know, I'm not trained in that, or I don't have time to help you with that. So the question really is, where do people go, right, to seek that kind of support, to be able to bounce back, to get back into the workforce itself? Unfortunately, you know, a lot of times that word mentorship, it is kind of dragged in the dirt, because it tends to be typically focused on the task at hand, not from, let's just say, a holistic point of view.
Right. Yeah. That's a really good point. And the answer you give will be different. So I'm just going to summarize a solution here, because it's going to be different for sure, depending on who you talk to. So first of all, you have to recognize this problem. And we've deduced in this case study that it is emotional and stress related. The thing that you need to do, remember I said one of the key words for 2021 will be empathy. So one of the things you need to do is empathy, and it's different from sympathy. Sympathy is different from empathy, and we don't have time to go into it today, but that is key. As a strong leader, you need to hone your skill on being empathetic. And then you are talking about accommodation, and as Charles said, it depends on your particular work environment. But you need to have that balance between empathy and having a set of expectations for work or a solution from a work perspective. You're not there to solve their personal problems, but you're there to help and support them so that they can continue to either do the work or take the time off. And as Charles says, to do what? So depending on your working situation, you might have you might have an EA assistance program, you might have follow up. You are not a specialist in mental health and wellness, but you need to have enough empathy to support people. So, what I want to end with before we move into talking about RevUp is you you should adapt a framework or a philosophy such as Connect with RevUp that will help inspire and motivate people so that the number of difficult conversations you have will be less complex and more trust-based. If you knew Sally, and you already knew she was in a remote work situation and was in a single apartment, you could have a different kind of dialogue saying, hey, tell me more about it. I know you're single. Is that, what's happening here? So building trust sometimes creates less difficult conversations. So let me tell you about Connect with RevUp. Some of you've heard me talk about RevUp, and RevUp is what my husband and I did when we had iTrans and became successful in building a strong work culture. I coined the phrase rev up after I reflected on how do I share with people what it is we did. And rev up stands for a set of 5 principles: respect, equality, valued as in I value you as a person, uniqueness and potential. So if you treat everybody with respect and look at them as equals, value them and show that you value them, then look at what makes them different. What are their strengths and what is that uniqueness that they have? Tapping into that potential. Imagine what you could do for your organization. You'd have people who are feeling a trusting relationship, who feel more engaged and motivated to do things for their profession, for the business that you're working with. So next slide, Jenny. What I want to do now is called the iceberg exercise. So we're going to break up into groups and we're going to do exercise 2. If you want to set it up in the same groups, Jenny, it's up to you. If they're in the same groups, they've already gone through the hello, hi, who am I? And all I want you to do is the iceberg exercise is usually a longer version, but I'm going to condense it. I want you to share 3 things that people don't know about you that are in that room. So it can be anything, but 3 things, and try to keep this short because I want to make sure we get through the workshop today. So people can ask you a bit more about it, but not too much time. I'm going to suggest that everybody only spend 2 minutes. So be cognizant of time, and then at the end, I want you to spend 2 more minutes discussing what did you learn from this exercise and how can you apply this to work? And we'll come back to the larger group. Actually,
so
Jenny, I think in the interest of time, let's cut it off at the 6-minute mark.
sure.
Give them a 1-minute warning, and then we'll come back as a larger group to do that 2-minute discussion.
Sounds good. So there's going to be one group of 4, just letting you guys know.
No worries.
All right. Have
Okay.
fun. Welcome back, everyone.
People are coming back, so this is good.
No, they're going to disappear into the world now, into empty space. Yeah, feel free to share, unmute your mics, and let us know what you thought of the exercise.
I thought it was great, Hilda. You definitely attract a diverse group of people.
Or we just don't know how diverse we all are. This is the uniqueness piece I'm trying to help you understand. Yeah. I popped into a session and one person did Irish dancing, so I said I did Highland dancing, and they are different, but they're somewhat similar. So that was kind of cool. Something I found out that I didn't know.
Hilda, where would you have done Irish Highland dancing?
I was taking ballet, and I was 3 years into ballet. At 8, I was too impatient to go on my toes, and there was a Highland dancing component. So I did Highland dancing for 2 years and learned about 5 or 6 different Highland dancing things. And I had these little ringlets because you needed, to bounce your hair when you're dancing in competition. So it's kind of cute.
Oh,
But I
that's
loved
amazing.
it. Why, do you know the Highland dancing?
I do. Well, after going to school in Nova Scotia, it was a big thing out there.
Right. Oh, yes. We'll have to talk another day.
Yeah.
So I want everybody to be unmuted, and I want to talk about what did you get out of this exercise and how can you apply this to work? In other words, why did I give this to you guys?
I don't know, but I think the whole thing was rigged, Hilda, because I was in a group where everybody was similar to me. There was somebody who was an event planner. There was somebody who worked in pharmaceuticals. So there was just like we had commonalities, which was kind of
Right.
nice.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. Well, and then we were with Debbie, and I think she was spent time in Barbados, which like many, many years. And it's like my favorite country. So it was just weird.
Well,
I
I can
think
certainly tell you it's not rigged. It was
No,
automatic.
I'm joking.
Just in there.
Oops,
Hilda, I think you did it to put us into conversations that we aren't necessarily going to be comfortable with. A lot of people were new to me. So it was starting the conversation, being a little bit vulnerable and telling people a little bit about yourself. And it makes you think outside of the box and not just the standard, this is who I am and this is what I do. I mean, it's a bigger conversation to get people to know you a little bit quicker.
Nice.
So
A couple
you're
more
taking
comments, and then we will move on. And I'll tell you why I put you into this iceberg situation.
Sorry, it's Anna here. So I think because we're looking at the iceberg, we've only shared with people just the tip of what we are all about. So really, they just got a small glimpse of what or who we are, and not all of us. Like not all that we are.
Cool.
I think if you relate it back to even the previous exercise, it is, I guess, putting people in a situation where, as has been pointed out, you don't know each other, but it's taking an interest. Because if you take an interest in people, you will get to learn, yes, about them, but then also about things that they may be passionate about, things that they want to do with their future. And again, relating it back to the previous exercise, it's when you find that, oh, you can better work together, find underlying issues in order to provide a better work environment, a better workspace. And I think that in itself helps to develop leaders, right? Because you're all working together as a unit as opposed to individuals. Because if everybody just has their blinders on, as okay, you in your cubicle, you over there, and you're not connected, right? Because it's interesting how the world is so big and so spread out, but we are connected, especially with technology. And it's all how we're so disconnected because everybody's either on their phone or they're just in their own line, right? But I think if we get to know each other better, we're better able to help and support each other to move forward.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think so.
I gave you 6 minutes to get to know 2 other people, and you found out things that you either had in common or you didn't even know, and you shared stuff that probably you wouldn't normally share. Imagine what you could do at work as a leader if you just spent 2 minutes over the course of a year learning about your staff member. Imagine the trust that you're going to build. Imagine that relationship of knowing each other so that you can even work more effectively because you do things. When we did the gingerbread exercise, Diane said we all kind of knew what a gingerbread looked like, so we could make this gingerbread easier, right? So that's the beauty of learning about people. And as somebody mentioned, iceberg, it's just the tip of the iceberg. What we see physically and gives us some information, but there's so much information beneath what you see. So that was the point of doing this exercise. And imagine what you could do for a relationship that you have with your people if you just spent a few more minutes once in a while. So it takes me back to connect with REVUP, because what you're learning is a little bit of what makes that person an individual, what makes them unique. So how do you become a leader and not a boss in 2021? Remember, we talked about those 5 key skills, and what I focused on today was just 3 of those things, and very quickly, because you just got a little snippet of that information. And one of those was the effective communication, and the gingerbread exercise really helped you understand the 2-way streak of it. The second one was using a case study, mastering those difficult conversations so that they can become easier and easier as you go along. And what I said to you was, you don't have to have as many difficult conversations if you really create a framework of connecting with people. And that's how you can become a standout leader, by embracing a connect with RevUp approach. And the exercise that we did, the iceberg exercise, really, really helped that to happen. So I want you just to take a couple of minutes and maybe jot down on that gingerbread piece of paper, what were the aha moments that you had today? What were those moments, and just jot them down in 2 or 3 words. And what did you learn today that will help you use what something from today in 2021 to make you a better leader? And if you just want to shout out or put it into the chat box, I think that would really be helpful as well. So if people want to just, we're going to take a couple of minutes and people can just shout out what they learned from today.
I think due to the interest of time, we can all gather together when it's also the question and answer time. Shout out and also ask any questions they would like to have.
Okay. So one person's commented to connect with others. So just a reminder, we talked about effective communications and the 7-38-55 rule, and that exercise of making a gingerbread. For communication. We talked about mastering those difficult conversations, and we used a case study. But I also said to you is if you create trust and stronger relationships, those difficult conversations may not be so difficult later on. Standing out as a leader. And I challenge you to think about a RevUp concept. To remind you, it's treating people with respect, equality, valuing them for who they are. Look at the uniqueness of those people that you work with and tapping into that potential. And that's going to make you a better boss, in a different way, but more so a leader. And there is that delicate balance of being boss and leader. We mentioned that two other skills were confidence and capability in yourself, and working remotely. Because let's face it, that's going to be the reality of the future. So I'm wondering if people have any questions. I want to share with you something, and I want to give you a gift, and I want to do that, but I'm going to entertain some questions that you might have.
Yeah, so I'm reading a lot of the comments here. I'm loving all of them. Helen noted that, yeah, we have to take the time to connect with others. Certainly agree with that. Lisa said, she can have a difficult conversation without losing too much sleep now. So woohoo. Debbie said, don't jump to conclusions. You need to ask questions and listen. And I think Hilda would say, listen, listen, and listen some more.
Even when you think you've listened enough, just keep listening, and don't formulate those answers in your brain, because I think we all do that. Try not to anyways.
Absolutely. Yeah, Lori agreed. Don't make assumptions, ask questions. Malak said, try to set aside preconceived notions on why an employee is not contributing. Awesome. Instead of taking the time to understand their situation and be empathetic. Great notes, guys. Hilda?
And Heather said communication is the key. And I truly, truly believe that. So are there any questions? Because I want to share with you a little bit more. We talk about Connect with RevUp, and I want to share a little bit more about that and give you a gift at the end of the presentation. Okay, we'll still have time for questions after. So let me just share a little bit about Connect with RevUp. So I am having a training program, a virtual training program in January called Connect with RevUp, Rev Up Your People Management Skills. It is a 4-week virtual management and leadership training program we'll do over Zoom, similar to today, but we'll have a deeper dive into some of this because I believe in practice. What you learn, if you practice it and internalize it, it will become part of you. And my training program will help you lead with confidence, communicate effectively, and really build foundations for success as you as a person and success as you as a company. It is 4 weeks starting January 21st from 1 o'clock to 2:30, a 90-minute session every Thursday. And what we cover in these sessions is, first of all, we look at developing you and your inner strength. Because in order for you to be better, to master those difficult conversations, you have to know who you are, your leadership style. The second week, we're going to look at revving up your communications. Similar to the exercises we've done today, we're going to build on that so you can understand the things that you need to do about listening, about empathy, and getting those messages across. The third week, we're going to up your game. We're going to apply this tool called Fascination Advantage. This is the uniqueness piece that helps you understand who you are. It's a 16-page report, and I'll show you what I mean in a second. And through that, we're going to help you understand how you can know yourself better, but know others better and relate to them. And then week 4 is really getting comfortable mastering those difficult conversations. We'll do different examples and you will get to practice and role play. So this is what the 4-week program offers. In addition, so the 16-page report is called Fascination Advantage. It's a 15-minute report. And in the end, you get to understand who you are. We have languages that we speak, and there's 7 different ones. Some people are attention detailed, and other people want to build strong foundations to look at creating some semblance of unity. Others are very creative outside of the box. Other are quality driven to improve. So there are 7 different languages, and you comfortably talk in 2 of those languages. And then it comes out with names like the Royal, the Wise Old Owl, or the Mastermind, or the Rock Star. So, it's really fun, but what I love about it, it speaks English and it says it in such a positive way that you'll come out knowing who you are and feel really good about that. So what you'll get from the training program is 4 90-minute sessions that I've just outlined what the 4 weeks are, and then two one-on-one 45-minute coaching sessions. One to really help you understand who you are with that Fascination Advantage report and beyond, and later on talk about what you want to do either in your business or your leadership style. You'll have a Rev Up Your Potential workbook. You noticed today I really said, so what did you get out of that? What is your aha moment? You'll have a workbook that helps you plan how you are progressing. And then we're going to have a Rev Up support group. And I have people who are alumnus of the group who are doing it in a live situation, and we'll join together and we'll talk about how you can continue to be a strong leader. So why would you want to attend this? Well, you'd want to attend if you can feel like you're going to better motivate, lead, and engage your team. Wouldn't you love that feeling of inspiring people? And in inspiring them, they want to stay, they want to be loyal, and they want to contribute because they feel valued and wanted. If you want to master those difficult conversations so you don't lose sleep and you don't procrastinate, then this will help you. And I'm at that stage in my career and life where I don't have those problems too often. I still have them, honest, but I don't have them often and I feel really comfortable. So I want to give you that mastery. And the third reason would be to really bolster your people management skills. My husband and I were successful. I have this wonderful journey of experiences, and I want to share those with you. I want to impart that in you so you can succeed in your company. So, attending, you'll build better relationships. You'll become a more confident people manager, and that results in growing your business and increasing your revenue and sales. So, I have testimonials. I'm not going to spend time reading them. You get a copy of this later on. So if you want to read them or you want to go on the website, you can read them. But I really want to focus on you and you taking this course. So what is this course worth? Well, when you think of everything that I said, $7,500, one conversation, the value of this program is $4,500. But of course, I'm not going to sell it for that. What we're offering is the cost of $997. So that's a lot of money, but remember, the cost that you'll save when you take this will really pay for itself. We're going to offer 2 different packages. If you pay in 2 payment plans, it's $997. But if you want to pay and save money, if you pay one time, it's $897. So you'll save money on that. If thank you for staying today. So what we're offering is a further $75 off, whether you want to pay in two payments or one. There is a $75 off, and it will be effective until Friday midnight or 11:59, so you know which day. But tomorrow night at 11:59, 11:59, and that code is called REVUP 75. So when you register, you would put that in the promo code, and a further 75 will be deducted from your first payment. So I'm excited because I really think I can make a difference in your life, and I have the skills and the experience to do that. And I hope you'll consider joining me uh, starting January 21st for a journey on how you can really rev up your potential and rev up your team and rev up your business and just rev up. Any questions at all about what we did today or about the program?